what's running through your head now ahead of your first FA Cup final?
Well, it was a bit emotional. Not because we beat City, which is for me is one of the best teams in Europe right now. It was more before how much I've been fighting for to play in a final with the club I love. It's been 10 years, obviously, since I joined the club, and when the final whistle. When the ref done the final whistle, everything goes through your head. So, oh, I done it. Obviously, you think, I wish the fans and my family are here in the final with obviously 90,000 or 90,000 people in Wembley, something that you don't play every day. I was more delighted for what I've been through. Obviously, you have to deal with frustration and lack of game time, but I always believed that I could do it. And I done it, but I still thinking it's not enough. Obviously, you need to beat Chelsea to do what you've been fighting for. Obviously, I've been fighting 10 years to win trophies, not just to reach a final.
We've spoken to you sort of down the years many times. You've always sort of had that unshakable confidence that you will be Arsenal's number one. How important has that self-belief been to showing the sort of form that you've shown since you've come in, since Bern got injured? Because you've been faultless really since you've come in.
It's everything. Football's obviously talent is not enough. It's a mental game. Like I said, you have to deal with frustration when you don't play. You have to deal with the pressure. There's no excuses. Obviously, when you second choice goalies sometimes say, the lack of game, the flight of the ball is different when you train and when you don't, when you play, and there's no excuse if you do everything right. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing. Like my wife was saying to me, "Why do you train so much in lockdown? Why do you do this so much?" Because I think I might have my chance. I might do it. And look, I have it. After 2 games, I think when we started with the team, I was already training. I was already fitter than when I left. So when Bern done the injury, when that happened with Brighton, if you see straight after, I had to make a low save, and I made it look easy because I was confident I done the right thing to prepare for each game. So that's when I start again, I start performing. So like that's what I do week in, day by day. I don't go week in, week out. When you play week in, week out. I do day by day, and that's why it drives me forward every time. When I think, I'm not 100% sure, of course I am. That's my thinking, my belief.
You've had a lot of love from the Arsenal fans across all of our social media channels. You'll have seen it yourself in your own social media channels as well since you've come in. How much does that mean to you, and how important is that in sort of your own self-belief, just making sure that you are as confident as you can be ahead of this final?
Because this is Arsenal. That's what Arsenal demands. Obviously, the Arsenal keepers always have to be on point. You cannot make mistakes. Obviously, Arsenal is it's a well-known club for the social media. Obviously, we got a great social media team, and everyone talks about Arsenal. And obviously, when you do well, the people recognize when you do well. And obviously, I'm a keeper from the club. I came through the academy. For a fan, it's always nice to see an academy player goes all the way up and reach it to the top. And they knew how much I trained, how much I done. And obviously, it's always says hard work pays off, and now's the time. Now's my time.
And just lastly from me, have you sort of allowed yourself to picture lifting the trophy at Wembley? Has that sort of come into your mind? And if it has, I mean, you're our longest serving player here, you've been a decade at the club. What will it mean to you to get your hands on the trophy?
I had a hand before when in the 2017 final. I was in the bench, Community Shield as well trophy. But when you start the game and then you finish the game and you get a hand on that trophy, then it's been like I done it. Like obviously as Arsenal Football Club, we won it 13 times, I think. So to to win it again is something that the club needs, you know, especially after what we've been through this season. We changed managers like we never done before since I've been here. We have problems with fans and players like we never done before. We never had those kind of behaviors before, and it's been a tricky season. So for the fans and for the club to win a trophy at the end of the season after the COVID-19 and everything is something that the fans will be really excited to see next season. So we have to give them something, and we know that today the training session was outstanding. How the players train. So we're more than ready for the final.
Thanks, Henrik.
Thanks, Rob. Next up, Sam.
Your lockdown training and how intense it was. Could you give us an example of what you were doing, what specific stuff you were working on, and how you're doing it?
Well, I got a full side goal in my garden. So, as soon as that happened, obviously the Arsenal fitness coaches, they send you a program. We got a bike from the club to do bike training. Obviously, we couldn't go out anywhere. But I have plenty of space in here, so I got weights, I got like a mini gym outside, and I was doing proper training, goalkeeper training. So because normally as a goalkeeper, when you start training, if you don't do diving or you don't hit the ground for a long time, you might have bruises on your bones, on your side of the bone. So that's something that I've been doing since the lockdown. So when I came back with the team, I was feeling great.
And you've spoken before about your self-belief and how you always believed you were capable of being Arsenal's number one. Were there any moments ever, maybe on loan or earlier in your career, when you thought it might not happen? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. When I signed for Reading, I said this is my last loan. I'm not going on loan anymore. I said after the Reading season as well that this was my last loan. That's why. Maybe I performed as I had a newborn baby. I was tired of going on loan every time and not having my chances in my club. But then obviously when I finished the season at Reading, obviously I had offers to leave. But I always put Arsenal first. And obviously they trust me. Ospina left. They opened the door for me to stay. And when they opened the door for me, I closed it and said, okay, I stay in, you know. For me, Arsenal was always my priority. But at the end of the day, it's a career and you need to make the most of it. Obviously, I spoke with Unai and Javi at the time, and they said, like, I can be the number one. I can fight for the number one spot if I decide to stay. So I spoke with my family. I had no doubt about it. Because I was going to have game time. It's different if you say, hey, look, Emi, Arsenal's your club, but you're not going to have many game time this season. Then I have to go away. And that was my last loan, so I had to go permanent. But in football, everything changes. Now I'm finishing the season playing every game. But it's not over. I need to win that trophy.
Yeah. And now you've got used to the feeling, and obviously we can see how much you're enjoying it. Presumably, you don't want to go back to being the number two when Burn gets fit again. How do you see next season panning out?
I don't think anyone wants to be a second goalkeeper, especially if you believe so much in yourself. I never accepted that I'm a backup keeper. People say, no, you're a backup or whatever, and it hurts your feeling because you work to be the number one. That's me. And obviously, I'm not thinking about next season, to be honest, mate. We got a final. There's nothing going. I think my agent called me the other day and it's like, how do you feel? I said, what do you think about next season? I said, I don't want to talk about next season. I got a contract with Arsenal, so I need to play in that final, have my mind clear. And then whatever happens in the final and next season, it happens. It's football. I can go anywhere. But what I know, I got 2 years contract left in my Arsenal career. So let me win that trophy and then ask me that question again.
Yeah. And just lastly from me, we were talking to Laka a minute ago about the first goal against Man City in the semi-final. And you played a big part of that with that passing in the 6-yard box. Obviously, a lot of fans would see that and get nervous, but is that bravery you had there and that ability on the ball, is that something you've always had, or or is that something you've been taught under Mikel or before that?
No, that's something I always had. When I was younger, I used to play up front, so I always have the ability to play with the ball. Even 6'4", I can use both feet as well. Which is my dad always saying to me, if you want to be a professional player, you need to use both feet since a very young age. And I remember being left-footed when I was really young, and obviously I had an injury on my left ankle, so I started hitting it with my right foot. And then I became a right footer. But at the beginning, the first 4 years, I was left-footed player. And it's obviously with Mikel and Unai, it's a lot of playing out as well. But under Mikel as well, he hates long balls. But in games, you have to mix it up sometimes. You cannot always play through the back. But if
Hi, Amy. Nice to see you.
Hi, you okay?
I'm very well. I was one of the few lucky enough to be in the stadium. We talked about your celebration on winning it, but I did know as you went into the tunnel, Mikel came and congratulated you with, I think it was a bear hug and a tummy tickle. What was it?
Yeah, obviously, I know Mikel since he was the Arsenal player. We won the FA Cup and he was a player, the captain. And we shared dinners together. I went to his house to have, obviously we drink mate, Argentinians drink mate. So his wife's Argentinian, so he was a lovely guy since he was a player. And obviously now he's my manager, and I respect him as a manager. And when he hugged me the way he did, obviously I felt I done a good job. That's the first thing it came to my mind, and I was so happy for him as well, because it's his first year as a manager, and he reached a FA Cup final, and it's something like he needs to be proud as well. It's not us as well. Him and his team are doing a really good job as well, and I'm so happy for him. I'm delighted.
A lot of people, and we certainly have been in our studios, been looking at the 18 pass goal, superb. Your understanding of it, in fact, you weren't under pressure at all. Everyone's been comparing Mikel to Guardiola, to a future great. You know him as a player and a manager. You know the influence he's had to you. Is he the real deal now to be a managerial great?
Yeah, obviously, I read the interview as Guardiola when Mikel signed for Arsenal. They said, "Oh, how much you gonna miss him?" And Guardiola probably said, obviously a lot. Probably we learn a lot from him, and that's Mikel. I remember when he was a player, he used to talk a lot with the boss with Arsenal about tactics. We always knew that Mikel will be a top manager, but like I said, and we never knew how good he was going to be, and it's incredible. He always gives us a game plan, and what we done against City and against Watford is what we practice in training. So we start to realize that we need to trust more on the training sessions, because it happens in games.
His eye for detail, is it better than any other manager you've been under before?
Yeah, 100%.
What does
he's got, I don't know, sometimes they give me a ball back to me and it was going to my right side. He said, sometimes you control with your right and then you have everything to look. And he would say, no, go quick and control with your left. And I'm like, why? And then when I start doing it, and then I realized that I got more time. So if you see in the goal, when Musta gave me the ball, before maybe I will control with my right foot, and then I control with my left, and I got more time. And that's what it's giving everyone a bit more time, a bit more structure to have more time. And everyone is finding we are more comfortable and more comfortable on the pitch. And when you are comfortable, you can play with confidence.